high-end stuff, but we had to translate it to a consumer's language. We had to translate it into probably not mainstream, but eatable for people who were at home sitting and watching extraordinary things, beautiful things, new directions, new ideas. So what we did was make another story out of something very new. And the moment you start retelling a story which has been told for the first time by someone who invented that, you get the ingredients, in fact, the well-known ingredients from the one who started with it, but you take new ingredients and make a new story out of it. And that's very interesting because if you were to add something to a story, you get a different story. In basic, it can be the same story, but while making television, you can add a number of layers to the story and make a different story, a more beautiful, or a story with different colors, or a story with some magic. Mm-hmm. That's all in the technique of television.
But is this is specific to making television, but is it also specific to making television about technical things?
Oh yes, yes. We always said it's probably not interesting when there's only one computer. If you cannot make a television, you cannot make television out of a computer because a computer is boring. So what you need is at least some vivid images to create a new story. The people who were making the film Nemo, they started with only one computer, and well, as long as they were talking about their way of using a well-known technique into something new for a movie, they weren't successful. But as soon as they had something, a talking potato, the industry said, wow, that's interesting. They're talking about a talking potato. How do you do that? There we came in and we got to know the people, and they said, well, it's quite easy. It's a well-known technique, but it's the first time that we show it on television. You put a helmet on your head, some sensors on your face, on important faces that make you well, a mouth movement that might seem a potato like a human face, but we use the human face as a model for the potato. So there they started putting a human factor behind the potato, and that was interesting. And there, after the potato, came, for instance, well, a car, or came a bicycle, or a fish, like in Nemo. And it's still the same technique. But as soon as the company started to create pictures, images, then it got very realistic, and people started to love Nemo, and they started to love the talking potato.
So you need a human aspect in that.
Always.
Is that something you agree with?
Yes, but I don't agree with the fact you always need a certain untruth. You're trying to make people believe that there's always a human factor, or there's something vivid, or something more than there is. And I think when you design a product or a movie or whatever, you should always tell the truth, because that way people learn more about your product and about your movie or whatever. And making a car laugh, I think it's not the way to get people to learn more about technology.
Do you think that's important?
I think it's important to connect people with technology, but they don't always have to understand it. That's true.
My personal opinion is that it's probably very interesting for engineers to get to know 100% of the elements of technique. But for instance, a reader or a television watcher or a radio listener is only interested in the highlights of technique. And it sounds very dumb or probably mainstream, but you can only make a story out of a new technique by only taking the highlights and not the in-between segments. It's interesting for the engineer and for students, but it's absolutely not interesting for the watchers, the listeners, or...
Is that true, or do you think you can make the whole of technique interesting to people?
It's going to take a long while, I think. I'm not sure. I think you always need some kind of interface with the technique or technology, and probably that's through making something vivid or human. I think that's one way to solve your problem.
But do you see it as one of your goals of being a technician, an engineer, to explain to people how beautiful engineering is? Or?
I don't think that's my task as an industrial design engineer. My task is to make a product that's useful or anyway reliable. Of course, you always have to think about how people work with products, but I don't think that's the main issue with designing products or any.
Because for you, what is the main issue about designing products?
I don't know. Not yet, I think. Maybe it's the usability or making a product possible. I think that's my main issue. If you need a solution for a problem, you need a way to solve your problem, and when you've solved it, you need to market it, and I think that's the first thing you have to do as an industrial design engineer.
Okay, but marketing is also part of it.
It's part of it, yes.
Yeah, so if I may react on what Hasso said earlier about he wants the truth to be out there about technology. I certainly don't agree with that, because like what Douwe Kroeske said, technology at itself isn't really that interesting. What's interesting about technology is what you can do with it.
You have to use technical terms, but you want to be passionate, but you can't. It's really difficult for me. Maybe someone else has an opinion about that.
Well, you know, the word passion is about love, right? And you have to love it before you can talk passionate about things. Whether it's about love, or whether it's about technique, whether it's about cars, or whether it's cycles, whatever. Marketing is a tool that is probably not common in this building over here. Managing is probably a tool which is not common in this study. And I personally believe that while doing a study, it should be very fulfilling for a student to add a thing like marketing to your study. To take at least 2 or 3 years while learning how to manage your own invention, while learning how to market, how to sell stuff, how to get passionate about yourself.
Well, this is your opinion, but you don't really agree with that. I mean, you think you should focus more on other things. Is that correct?
Yes, that's true.
But that does not mean that you're not passionate about your studies, I guess.
No, I'm really passionate, but the part of marketing and managing your product is actually part of the manager's job and not the designer's job. And many people here think they'll become a manager instead of a designer or an engineer. And then they'll forget about technology, and the first thing you'll get is, I don't know how to calculate my machine or whatever.
But don't you think the two can go together?
No.
No?
Well, not like it's not impossible, but it's difficult to combine.
It is.
Well, if I may respond, first of all, I think from all places, from all different faculties in Delft, this happens to be the place where marketing and managing is an integral part of the curriculum. So, and especially industrial design engineers, I really expect them to really have some knowledge about marketing and managing. And we have these different masters here at our faculty, and one of them is strategic product design, which really focuses on that part, on how do you put a product into the market, how do you get people to buy your stuff, because otherwise why did you design it? And the thing about industrial design engineers is, I think, that the strength of industrial designers is, I think, the broadness of our field of study. Where other engineers may go more into the depth of their field of study, industrial designers are educated more broadly, and because of that, I think it's important to know a little bit about everything. That's what they said when I came to study here. Industrial designers know a little bit about everything.
And is that okay for you?
Yeah, very much okay, because I guess I'm a person who likes to know a little bit about everything. I really am not that interested in knowing all the details about a certain technology. If somebody invents a certain technology, all I want to know is what can I do with it, and the basic principles of how it works. But
how does this make you different from other engineer or other engineering students?
Well, I'm not sure, because I do think it's hard to compare myself with other students from other faculties. But like I said, I think being very broadly educated, that's what is characteristic for the industrial designer, I think.
Okay.
Because people in Delft always say, oh, yeah, industrial designers are not real engineers, because, well,
That's the thing I was waiting for, a real engineer. What is a real engineer in their eyes when they say that, and in your eyes?
Well, personally, I haven't really figured out what a real or a true engineer is, but people have this image of engineers who are really very much into technology and try to solve mathematical questions all day and do stuff with digits and computers and calculate things. And I think the prejudice people have about industrial design, about being not very technical, is because the technical courses, the amount of technical courses is maybe less than at other faculties, and also we don't go into the depth that much.
But do you think that it is true engineering what you're doing here?
Some things, most certainly, some things I'm not sure about it. When I see people being involved in things that have maybe more to do with real marketing or more to do with art history, then I'm not really convinced if that is real engineering. Mm-hmm. But I think for me it's really hard to find a common thing among all things you do here at industrial design.
Okay. Do you feel yourself a true engineer?
Yes, but I think many students at this faculty get lost in marketing or designing or economics. I think for a true engineer or a true industrial designer, technology should be the basis, and from there you can explore in some directions marketing or consumer behavior if you want to. It depends on the problem you have to solve, the solution you're searching for. So I think I'm a true engineer, but I'm not graduated yet, so I think so.
Okay. Do you think you're a true engineer?
I think that all depends on what you mean by the term engineer. I mean, one of the things that emerges from this conversation, let me start with what Patrick was just saying. One of the controversies that has bedeviled engineering is that there is a part of the world and a part of the engineering community that sees it as applied engineering sciences, where we have a vast array of mathematical models to explain how electrons run through circuits and transistors, and how buildings stand and fall, and how we move water, and all sorts of things. And people tend to think of engineering and engineers as the people who are gifted with differential equations and computers and all the mathematics. And the fact is, there is no partial differential equation for a building. There is no